All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. How are you all doing? Good to see you. We're live on Callin, Rockfin, YouTube, and on Twitter. And good to see you all here. Thanks for hanging out. Apparently, there's a ban on pro-Palestinian demonstrations in France. And there's a bunch of people out there demonstrating anyways. I forgot how to say FU in French. It's a bestois, best, something like that. Anyways. So many people not happy about killing other people. How strange. Or actually totally normal. Yeah. They're doing their best. They're doing their best to make it seem like it's just the fringe loonies out there, right? It's just the fringers that are against this. And that everybody's on board. And if you're not on board, we'll censor you or ban your protests. There you go. That's when you know you're on the right side. You know you're on the right side when you're in the right is when you have to ban all the people that are against you. That's when you know you're the good person. Anyways, it's warm today. It's very hot today. Here in LA still. I think we have a couple more days of really hot weather, which is kind of I'm ready for it to be done. It's kind of bumming me out. It's very hot. It's actually, my plants are very bummed out too. It's a very dry, hot heat, and everything is drying out very quickly. The plants are not happy. Anyways, there's massive flooding events going on around the world, again, because the climate is out of whack. This is in Argentina, the Uruguay River. That's some deep flooding. That's like up to the rooftops type flooding. Also in Madrid, Spain. whenever this will load. Looks like water rushing into a subway. Ireland and Scotland both getting it too. Getting a bit of the nasty. Whenever it loads, whenever it decides to load, this is Scotland getting some heavy surf. And say red warning in Scotland for due to Storm Babette. 300 homes in Brecon. Scotland are being evacuated due to a rare red weather warning caused by Storm Babette. The region anticipates severe flooding and life-threatening conditions. Red warnings are only issued when there's a high likelihood of dangerous weather that could pose a risk to life. Sorry, coffee break. I'm going to need a lot of coffee today. The news is heavy. I'm going to need all the lift I can possibly get. Let's see. We're bouncing around here. We're going to do some climate stuff and some world news stuff, and we're going to go back and forth. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Just covering things that are happening in the world. Let's see. Biden's reckless cruelty has gotten bad. So apparently, Josh Paul is quitting. Apparently, some people actually have a code of ethics that they abide by. Some people actually have ethics. You know, like Dennis Kucinich leaving RFK Jr.'s campaign. Right? Some people, well, I guess they don't need the money and the power and the position more than they need to have their soul be at ease. Today I informed my colleagues that I've resigned from the State Department due to a policy disagreement concerning our continued lethal assistance to Israel. Bravo, Josh Paul. It's gotten bad when even the arms dealers in his administration are starting to think, are we the baddies? You don't have to think about that one too hard. Let's see. The German health minister says we're in an infodemic, meaning you have too much information. An infodemic. You have too much information and we need to control, because everything is questioned and we can't have people questioning things. We need you to, it's not like the good old days or the bad old days when we just put propaganda out there and people just believed it. They just ran to the bank with it. It's not that easy anymore. It's like people have all this information and they're actually able and willing to question what's going on in real time, saying like, no, not so fast. And he's like, I have a problem with this because I'm in power and I want to stay in power. I want to stay in power by my own disinformation. And I want my disinformation to be allowed and not questioned. I can assure you that the problem is not information. I can assure you that it has always been a lack of information or too much control of information. Had people had the information, they might have made different choices, or they might have been angry enough to stop things that shouldn't have started in the first place.
Institutions that they govern themselves, then we will not be better prepared, but we may be worse prepared, because we now have also the info and then a pandemic against us, where, let's say, everything that we do is basically questions by a social media war, which will make it way more difficult to organize a response towards a future pandemic. This is where we currently are.
The other issue, as we are with the virus, is communication and disinformation. And this is such a complex issue. There are many media people here who exactly know what I'm speaking about. This is really the intervention in the beginning of a pandemic. So there are two interventions that are really efficient before we have a drug or vaccine. This is diagnostic testing, and then it's political decision-making. And once this political decision-making is influenced and contorted by disinformation and propaganda, we are lost. And there are roles that are not being fulfilled by the media themselves. They really have to look in the mirror. And there is another role that's sometimes ignored a little bit, which is the role of science itself. So we shouldn't have anybody who has some academic degree talking about the heart of the issue in the middle of a pandemic. We have to address the institutions of science to make some selection, to set up panels of experts who are really experts and who wouldn't push into the media, but who are somehow qualified to summarize the state of knowledge. And this can only happen via the institutions of science. These institutions have to offer this function to society. And these institutions of science...
He said this so seriously, so gravely. He's really very concerned. He's so very concerned about misinformation. But what about their misinformation? I mean, I don't know how recent this was, but haven't you heard the news? Haven't you heard the news that there was basically, some things were not done above the board? Haven't you heard the news? I mean, it's kind of everywhere now. That's not a secret anymore. So, saying that like, well, we have the right to information or to give information and nobody else does, and you don't have the right to question it. Oh yeah, that's really problematic. What's the opposite of democracy, by the way? That's called authoritarianism or elitism or techno-fascism or whatever you want to call it. But it's not democracy. That's not, you may not like people questioning, even science, but they have a right to question it. And if you can't fulfill the answer, with data and science, right? If somebody says, hey, I have a question about this, and you can't like whip out like, here's all the science and all the data, backed up by, multiple studies and all the science and all the data. If you can't do that, then you don't have the authority, right? It doesn't matter what position you have or what the institution is. You don't have any authority on the truth if you don't have the truth. Anyways. But I don't know. There's so much going on. There's actually quite a bit going on with the WHO and things that they're doing while everybody is, obviously and rightfully so distracted with, with things that are rightfully distracting, Let's keep going though. I told you I'd be jumping around just a little bit today. There's a bunch of stories that I didn't get to cover in the last couple of days because I was reading, very long articles and kind of putting a lot of things off to the side. So I'm just kind of going through my queue of things that I wanted to bring. So they may not all be, organized. And that's fine, actually, I think. Sometimes I like to jump around between subjects, keep people on their toes. Aaron K., it's shocking when you see it. When somebody asks, what is common knowledge in your field but shocks outsiders? More than half the CO2 emissions of the industrial age have been dumped into the atmosphere since 1990, excuse me. More than half of the CO2 emissions of the industrial age have been dumped into the atmosphere since 1990. So only, most of the damage has been done in recent years. And it is still being done because the emissions are still rising. They're still going up. Yeah, we've been doing damage over a long period of time, but that, over the long period of time, it was a slow rise and then, a slow gradual rise and then a much faster rise. And that has been much faster in recent years, right? Kind of like a hockey stick. Let's see. Let's keep going. This is a really good graph about what's happening in the oceans due to CO2, due to other things. Peter Dines, if you don't understand thermal inertia and why the oceans have been protecting us from massive amounts of heat entering the system, then you need to look at the difference between heating water and air. It takes a hell of a lot more energy to heat water. 1 C of heating in air is 2,000 joules. 1 C of heating for a cubic meter of water, 4,200,000 joules. I don't know what that percentage, the difference is, but it's quite a bit. But we'll keep going. If you're watching this show on any platform, please take a moment to like it, retweet it, share it, whatever. And thank you to those on Twitter who have done so. I appreciate it. Let's keep going. I'm kind of moving through a bunch of stuff today quickly. I showed some flooding in Spain, but they also have a drought in Spain. Oh my God, I can't hold. How can it be drought and flooding at the same time? This climate change is a hooey poop. I just made that up. Do you like it? Anyways, it's okay. It's okay. What does Spain do when the water runs out? The Puente Nuevo reservoir in Andalusia is currently only at 10.8% of its total capacity. 10%. Those levels of drought are incredible. Yeah, I know. It's hard for people to take in or to hold those ideas in their heads that possibly two different places in the same country could be experiencing flooding and drought at the same time, but it happens. It's happening all over the planet, actually. It's happening all the time right now. So it just takes a little bit of investigation to understand that this is happening. Just a little bit. Let's keep going. Another one from Peter Dines. If all the glaciers melt, there's going to be a hell of a lot of cities underwater. Heat waves will probably get them long before the sea does, though. These are all the cities that would be underwater. That's kind of like all the cities on the East Coast. Pretty much all the cities on the East Coast underwater. And yeah, and the heat will probably, looks like Florida's underwater. Like all of it. But yeah, we'll be worried about other things before that happens. So don't you worry your pretty little head about that, okay? Everything's fine. Let's see. Steve Austin, in this economy, the only thing that seems to be rewarded is death and destruction. How much longer can that last? And he's posting this. Shell shares hit record high as Israel-Hamas war drives up oil price. Yay. It's a payday. You know, man, war is terrible, but man, we are getting paid, bro. This war is a horrible thing. Oh, it's a we go out on stage. Oh, it's a horrible thing. This war, this death and destruction. It is terrible. And we've got to do our best to fight against this death and this infodemic too. It's just so terrible for the serious people who take things seriously and who know better about which things to take seriously. It's just, and we're very grave and very serious people. Please take us seriously. But in the back of their minds, they're like, but I am raking it in, bro. My portfolio is slapping. Man. Because I've got these oil stocks and these defense stocks and these SpaceX stocks, and I've got, like, man. But it's very serious. And it's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate what's happening to the oil prices, but not to my stock portfolio. Let's see. Just quickly, Shell shares hit record high price, blah, blah, blah. Analysts say traders have started to price in disruption. That means it hasn't actually disrupted anything. They're just going to raise the prices, because it could. That's even better. Like, it's not doing anything. Basically, that sentence says it hasn't done one thing to the production of oil. Not one. But it could. So we're going to have to jack the prices up a little bit. We're going to have to price in this disruption, the possibility of this disruption there. And it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. It's a very serious situation. It's a very serious situation. It is horrible what's happening there. But we're going to have to, I don't know. Our hands are tied. We're going to have to price in this disruption. Anyways. Oil prices surged over the past week in the wake of the outbreak of war, and Shell shares gained 1.5% on Monday to increase its stock price as high as 2,763 pounds a share. Or pence a share? I don't know if that's right. I can't tell. I think that's not pounds. P. I don't know. Anyways. I thought that meant pence, but that doesn't seem to make any sense. Pence don't make no sense. Brent crude has risen by more than 7% since the start of the war to more than $90 a barrel. Shell's share price has gained 6.5% over the same period. And the energy company's commercial value has shot up by nearly 10% to 183 billion pounds, I guess. Since the 4th of October, 183 billion pounds, when the OPEC Plus cartel, led by Saudi Arabia and Russia, promised to maintain cuts to oil supplies around the globe. Anyways. Shell has faced sustained criticism over the past 18 months after reporting bumper profits, aided by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which caused global energy prices to soar. I'm sore. Sorry. Somebody's got to laugh at my jokes. Maybe it'll be me. Anyways. Anyways, let's keep going. Oh, real quick. If you want to support the show, if you like the show being here every day, here are direct ways you can support the show. buymeacoffee.com/blackburnnews, Cash App at Red Llama Music, Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom, PayPal.me/Kevin Sandbloom, Zelle, Kevin Sandbloom at protonmail.com. All right? All right. I was about to cover something. I was about to cover this. Pushing Biden Left says, let's see what they say. This is a quote from Joe Biden. Don't tell me what you value. Show me your budget and I'll tell you what you value. Biden suggests he would veto Medicare for all over its price tag. Well, there's no medical, there's no Medicare for all. And as Hillary Clinton once said, Medicare for all will never come to pass. Janet Yellen says, we can certainly afford 2 wars. Totally. I mean, we're the United States. I think Joe Biden said that too. We're the most powerful country on the planet. Of course we can fight. We can fight all the wars, and we'll win. We're the United States. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Western powers, led by the U.S., killed a second UN Security Council resolution for a ceasefire. What do we want? We want a ceasefire. When do we want it? Now. Well, this is the first one, I think. They killed a second one, too. I mean, so there's a humanitarian crisis going on, and we're trying to, everybody's trying to get to the bottom of what's going on, and there's just indiscriminate bombing of civilians and children, and people are just losing their minds. And even the UN, Russia, the countries that brought forth a ceasefire resolution, China, Gabon, Mozambique, Russia, and the United Arab Emirates, those insane fascist imperialists wanted a ceasefire. The 4 that voted against this, the totally peace-loving, democratic, above-the-board, loving, lefty, liberal people, the France, Japan, UK, and the U.S. said no. No. And they voted against it twice, by the way. So they are absolutely sure. They're absolutely sure that they want this bombing to continue. Because of, democracy and equity, freedom. These are very serious things. Very, very serious things. By the way, my stock portfolio is slamming. Man. I mean, it just so happens that my stock portfolio has, the value has gone up probably a few mil in the last week. But these are very serious times. And we absolutely should not vote for a ceasefire in Gaza. Bush-Cheney operatives and neocons fill the green rooms of CNN and MSNBC. Those are the network's most popular hosts. They fill the op-eds of the New York Times and the Atlantic, and liberals work hard to insist Bush and Cheney were better than Trump. And this is from a House Democrat lawmaker floats George W. Bush for Speaker of the House. What? Sounds like some Lincoln Project nonsense. George W. Bush. The oopsie, we killed 1 million people, George W. Oh darn, oh. The oopsie, if you're playing along with the story, the oopsie, we let the worst, terrorist attack happen on the U.S. soil, because we ignored all the intelligence about it. George W. Bush. And he is a very serious person and very above the board, and he's really interested in democracy, unlike other people who are interested in fascism. He's interested in democracy. George W. Bush. The guy, the oopsie that, the election went to George W. Bush, not Al Gore. George W. Bush. That guy. Super like, serious guy, person, and very smart individual, just super intelligent, like, just loves democracy, loves the United States of America, loves freedom. Either you're with us or you're against us. Loves freedom. That guy. A Democrat. Said, how about him? I can't really add anything to that. I can't even, no comment necessary. He is a scholar, Gene. Yes, he is. I mean, they call him, the Bard. I think that was, no, I'm kidding. They called George W. That was his nickname in the halls of the White House, the Bard, George W. Bush. Well, this is from, by the way, I mean, this is from the Children's Health Defense, which is RFK Jr.'s organization. He does really great work. However, his campaign is over. Stick a fork in it. I don't even know how his stance on the current events is so wildly egregious and out of touch that it actually is killing his entire campaign. I don't know how. Maybe he does survive. I don't know. Maybe somehow, like, he gets another wind, but like at this point, it's over. Like, I don't even know. People are just so like offended by his stance on that there's like, oh God. I mean, like, man, everything else you say is just so great, but but what is that? And we could probably have a big conversation about that, but maybe not today. The Chick-fil-A sandwich contains nicarbazine, an anti-parasitic that also functions as a bird contraceptive. Chick-fil-A sandwich. The antibiotic Monensin, which can cause severe harm in humans and remains unapproved by the FDA, was also found in food chains. So this organization, he's an environmental lawyer and also is, very concerned for the health of people on the planet and what's, RFK Jr. does really great work in this field. And I do appreciate him for all the truth that he brings to these things. Animal contraceptive and antibiotics in popular fast foods. Testing reveals kids may unknowingly be consuming an animal contraceptive when they eat a chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A. In a new report, moms across America found veterinary drugs and hormones in foods sold by the 10 most popular fast food restaurants in the U.S. Seriously, get off the fast food if you can. Like, I know once in a while it's, again, it's hard. I know it's hard to avoid all things poisonous in this world. I know it's difficult. I get it. I can't avoid it all. I can't avoid all plastic and all poison, but I really have minimized my intake of anything fast food, and I would advise you to do the same. I'm not saying like 100% never again touch anything like that, but just really, if you're doing it every week or a couple times a week, that's too much. Like you gotta keep it down to a dull roar, because it's poison. Everything that's in those things is poison. Everything that's in fast food is poison. And it reminds me of an article that I read, I think a few weeks ago, that basically said the poorest people who are making their own food are in better health than the richest people who are eating out and think they're eating, better. Basically, if you're eating, food that's prepared for you, or fast food, or, chain food, if you're eating out, you're in worse health. You're in worse shape. You're in worse health. You're getting worse things. So the best thing is to try and prepare your own food, and as cleanly as possible with the least amount of additives as possible. Just try. I know it's hard. It's time consuming. You got to wash dishes and stuff. You got to make your own food. You got to shop for it. Yeah, I don't eat fast food because I generally feel terrible right after I eat it. Like immediately. It's like a hangover. It really all it does is like fill me up in a very empty kind of way. Like, okay, my belly's full, but I just don't feel good afterwards. And so I rarely eat out. I rarely eat out. I mostly make my own food. Every once in a while I might, maybe a few times a month. I mean, not even that. I can't even remember the last time I had a meal out somewhere. I can't, like right now, I can't, I'm trying to think back to the last meal I had of prepared food. Somebody else prepared me food. I can't actually think about it. Probably a month ago. And it was at a party, because that's what they were serving, was fast food at a party, which is interesting. But, I get it. Yeah, please like the video, share the video. If you're watching and you like the video, share the video. Stuff like that. I mean, even if you can, look, let's say you're in a hurry and you're working a lot, and like you could just make yourself a big thing of like rice and beans, have some cheese on it or whatever, something like that. Have some tortillas, try and get them, not made too badly. Something like that. But anyways, like a big thing of rice and beans, or a big something that you can like make, and then you could just eat continually through the week, where you don't have to keep preparing food, right? Like you could do it like that. Lentils and rice. There are all kinds of things that you can do like that. But I'm so like hardcore. I mean, I make my own bread. I make my own tortillas. I make my own like peanut butter. I make my own. I make a lot of things that, on that I eat. I make most of the things that I eat. I try to make all the things that I eat as much as possible. And it is time consuming, but you can do it in ways that, you should make a bunch of that will last for a few days or a week or something. And then you don't have to make as much. Beans and rice are very good for that. or beans, or I'll make a big thing of beans. And rice isn't that hard to make. It takes like, a few minutes to make some rice. And I have the beans already there, beans, rice, whatever. I'll make a burrito. I'll make something, can make some other things out of that. It's just very simple. Hey. Oh, hold on one second, guys. Give me a sec. I'm sorry about this. Okay, sorry. I thought that was an important call. Apparently not. Colin, can you please tell me if I'm still live? Because sometimes when I get calls, it'll like it'll freeze Colin. So please give me a thumbs up or give me something in the chat that tells me that you can still hear me on Colin. It's still working. Sorry, I usually have my all calls like silenced, but like somebody's been trying to reach me, so I have to kind of keep my phone on. And no, I haven't gotten a fermentation gene like sauerkraut, and also like you can make your own kimchi, pickles. I don't do that stuff right now, but I'm venturing into that world for sure. All right. We're almost this is from George Socrates. Whenever it will come up. Oh no. Ew. Whenever, bro. Oh, my computer's slowing down. Necrocapitalism is a thief that never gets caught. No sound on Colin? Okay. All right, I close back. And hopefully there's sound now. Is there sound now? I'm about to sign off anyways, but ooh, yes. Actually, yeah. Sauerkraut. Next up on my list. And my girlfriend really loves sauerkraut. And I haven't been hip to the sauerkraut thing until lately, but I really love sauerkraut too. So if I made my own sauerkraut, I think that would make everybody happy. All right. Anyways, all right, we're going to get through this post, and then I'm going to sign off. Necrocapitalism is the thief that never gets caught. It takes down everything in its path, consuming entire planets and leaving nothing standing. Nothing but devastation for all human beings. All beings, humans included. This is the RLC. Pretty much gone. Gone. There's a lot of lakes and bodies of water like that look like that. It's getting ready to rain, Basil. Oh, yeah, enjoy that. Man, I can't wait till I get some fall weather here. It's just hot and toasty right now. It's supposed to cool down next week, so hopefully maybe we'll get a few sprinkles along with some cooler weather. My friends, that is all I got for today, and I will see you. Let's see, tomorrow. I don't, my schedule over the next few days might be just a little bit different, so I'm still trying to figure it out. And I am guessing that I'm going to just let you know that the show may actually be later for the next few days, maybe like 2 p.m. So if you don't see me at noon, it'll probably be a little bit later, like more like 2 p.m. maybe in the Pacific time. So a couple hours later. Just keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes open. Yeah, next few days are a little bit wonky for me, and I'm sorry. I'm going to have to change this. I don't like changing the schedule because everybody expects it to be at this time, but I'm trying to make everything work or make sense. Anyways, all right, y'all. Thank you so much. Till next time. Peace.